don't know if you could hear that, but she blew out harder with her nose, through her nose when I pushed on her ribs a little. I'm just testing how sensitive her legs are. The biggest mistake people make when they're yielding the forequarters on the ground is that they allow too much forward motion to get with her. The first thing I'm going to do is just do some groundwork and make sure that I can move her feet when I ask her to move her feet. Make sure she's licking and chewing a little bit. She seems really relaxed. Good morning and welcome to House Calls with Luke. I'm Luke Brown, your host. Today I'm working with a horse named Blue, and she's like a 19-year-old mare that needs some help with her back feet. She hasn't been able to be trimmed for a while with her back feet, and she has a lot of issues with a lot of sensitivity with her back legs. Even when the wind is blowing and her tail is going along her back legs, she gets sensitive and irritated by that. Water running down her legs, she gets irritated by that. And certainly ropes on her legs, she just kicks and doesn't know how to yield to that and be calm to that. So today, and we've had multiple farriers come. There's been 3 farriers come out and try to trim her back feet. They've even dormed her and given her some injectable calming medicine to help her be able to be trimmed. And she was nice and calm, lower head, her lips were relaxed. And yet, as soon as they started to pick up her back feet and work with them, she came alive, and it was like she didn't have that medicine in her. So I'm just going to work with her today, and let's see where we can get with her. The first thing I'm going to do is just do some groundwork and make sure that I can move her feet when I ask her to move her feet. Make sure I can bend her, make sure I can yield her hindquarters, make sure I can get control of those feet. If I can get control of the feet, then that's going to be really helpful when I might have to correct a behavior in the near future here. She's licking and chewing a little bit. She seems really relaxed. She's had a lot of work. She really has become a nice horse according to her owner, but just has those issues with her back feet. See if she'll lope a little bit. So I got a little speed there. I'm not going to force a lope right now. Ooh. Again, I don't know exactly what her groundwork has been like. She's pretty responsive, but it's not necessarily easy right now to get her to lope. There we go. This little bit of exercise as I'm doing this groundwork before I start working with her feet is also helpful to help her relax a little bit. Give her some natural endorphins. Anytime we do exercise, we get an endorphin release, and that's just going to make us feel better. So that's going to make her feel better as well. Now you can tell, I mean, she's been nice and relaxed this morning. So it's not like she needs a lot of it, but it's always helpful. Now right there, she's wanting to poop and stand still, so I just kept her moving. I like to teach horses to move forward when they're pooping. Whatever gait they're in, when they start to poop, I want them to stay in that gait. So going to the right, she picks up a lope pretty easily. Going to the left, not so much. There we go. Whoa. Now I'm going to go into my lead beside exercise because I want her to feel comfortable with me walking beside her with my stick on her back. She kind of loses composure, change directions. I'm just establishing my leadership with her and establishing a connection with her and helping her respond to me and not react to my tools, not react to me. I want to get through all of that before I start messing with her feet. So I'm building trust with her. I'm building a relationship with her. This is the first time I've ever seen this mare. Well, I've seen her before, but the first time I've ever worked with her. So I'm doing this lead beside exercise. You can see my stick. I'm running it down her rump, down to her tail, and her back legs. So right away, I'm starting to touch those back legs a little bit. Just a little. I get in and get out. So I'm touching her up on the withers and go down to her back leg. Now I'm going to start touching her on the rib cage, pushing on her a little bit. I don't know if you could hear that, but she blew out harder with her nose, through her nose when I pushed on her ribs a little. So you could tell she's a sensitive mare, but she's not out of control sensitive. She's just sensitive. Let's see if we can get her to relax. Now I like that she slowed down to a walk there. I'm touching her up underneath her chest. So we may work with her on the ground here for 30 minutes or so before I even attempt to start to work with her feet. Good girl. So I'm running that stick down her leg, her back, her hamstrings down to her hock. And she's really not too bothered by that. I like that. Let's yield. Back her up. Now another thing that I forgot to mention is that her owner can actually pick up her back feet. Now he doesn't have tools, he doesn't have his chaps on or anything, but I watched him pick up her back feet and she seemed relatively comfortable with that. She didn't try to kick him or anything. So that's something to take note of. And they said she has a hard time trusting people. It's kind of like those Mustangs that people say they're only good with one person. I don't think that's necessarily true, but horses can have more of a challenge of being okay with more people because each person is different. Each personality is different. The way they handle the horse is different. So if the way they handle the horse is a little outside of what they're comfortable with, then they're gonna overreact, or they're gonna get irritated. So I'm rubbing down this right leg, and she's doing pretty good with that too. I'm just testing how sensitive her legs are. If I poke on prod on her a little bit on those ribs, up to the shoulder. So even though I'm kind of pushing on her with the point of my stick, she's still maintaining that trot. I love that. There's some smoothness to her movement there, even though I'm pushing on her with that stick. Yield the hindquarters, yield the forequarters. Hindquarters, forequarters. So far looking pretty good. Hindquarters, forequarters. Good girl. I'm going to go in what I call a forward bending exercise. So I'm going to get closer to her here. Make sure she can walk around me or trot, walk and trot with my stick touching her. Me closer to her. Does that feel kind of weird, baby? She seems like a sweet horse. She's definitely not irritable at all. Oh, she's licking and chewing. I like that. Good girl. So this is what I call a forward bend to a hindquarter yield. I'm going to do a forward bend at a trot. And then I go to her hindquarters, yield the hindquarters. Now I'm going to push on her ribs a little bit, yield in the hindquarters, make sure that she can handle that. Now I'm going to open up and go into a forequarter yield. Back her up a little. Yield the forequarters. Good girl. Take a deep breath. Try it one more time from that side. So I'm taking her through some of the basic groundwork exercises so I can make sure I'm not leaving any stone unturned or leaving any hole that might create a dangerous situation when I start working with her feet. That's beautiful. Just a little forward there. When I'm yielding the forequarters on the ground, I want to make sure to emphasize putting weight on her hind feet. And I want her to rotate around her outside hind. So I'm on her outside, so her outside hind is her left hind right now. I want her to rotate around that. If that left hind comes forward, I'm just going to back her up a little and ask her again. Back her up. So we won't refine that today, but that's part of the groundwork. Okay, now the left side forward bending. So the entire exercise is called a forward bend to a hindquarter yield to a forequarter yield transition. So it's a three-way transition, three-way exercise, two transitions. Good girl. Now again, I'm going to test this rib cage, test her flank a little bit. So when I touch her flank, she flinches. So I'm going to keep working on that, kind of rub along her flank. See if I can desensitize, make her less flinchy there. Pretty good. And go to forequarter yield. The biggest mistake people make when they're yielding the forequarters on the ground is that they allow too much forward motion. And I finish backing up. Since she was sensitive on her flank, I'm going to try that one more time. So you can see I'm rubbing along her rib cage back to her flank as I'm going along here. Rub on her shoulder, rub in front of her. I don't want her to be reactive when I'm touching her. So I'm just making sure that she doesn't have any real explosive reactions. Good girl. A little forward. Now there she kind of moved her hindquarters away from me, so I want to make sure and stop my forequarter yield I don't want her hindquarters moving after I stop. If she does, I'm going to yield those forequarters again. Back up a little. That's better. Good girl. Okay, now I'm going to do a pass-through exercise. So I just want to send her between me and the fence. One thing that I'd like her to be a little lighter at, and that is backing up out of my space. So I'm actually going to drop my stick and work on that for a minute. Just add my pressure, add pressure, right there, release. So there's a bunch of different ways that I'll ask a horse to back up, but one of them is wiggling and waving left to right. I'll wave bigger. There she goes. So I'm going to wiggle, wave, and release. Now, if she didn't move after I waved for a little bit, I would actually bump down on the halter. I would jerk down with the lead rope. Good. See how I want her light enough to where if I just wiggle that rope a little bit, she's backing out of my space. Right there, that little wiggle, I want her to be that light. Hopefully I can get close to that here in a few minutes. Wiggle. Good girl. Let's bring her back in. So getting a horse to back out of your space is one of the most important exercises you could do. If your horse can't get out of your space, then your horse might run you over. Your horse is much less likely to be controllable on the ground if you can't get him to back out of your space. And you're always putting yourself in a precarious situation if you don't teach him to back up. And she knows some of this. I'd like her to be a little lighter. Bump, bump. Good girl. She's pretty light coming forward. So there's that little wiggle, wave, good girl. Wiggle, wave, wiggle, wave. I know. She's licking and chewing, let her soak on that for a minute. Wiggle. It's a tiny move. Good girl. Once she starts to get the concept, I'll start getting a little firmer with her until she tries a little harder. I don't want to get too firm with her if she doesn't know what to do. But right now, she knows to back up. She's just not trying very hard. She's not backing up with a lot of intensity. So that's what I'm working on. Let's get some consistency of movement, some rhythm, and some intensity. Good girl. Good girl. There's a light wiggle. Good girl. Good. Getting a little lighter. So I'm going to refine that just a little bit, but I don't need a whole lot more than that for today. She kind of stopped, so I'm going to add pressure. Good girl. Yeah, I love how light she is to come forward. Good. Pay attention. Good. Now I'm getting a little heavier, but it's the waving that I'm getting heavier with instead of jerking down. Good girl. Oh, I know. Good. You always want to stop when she's trying. If she's finishing her try and I stop, then I'm gonna incentivize her to get lazy. I want her to be trying, and then I'll release the pressure. Good girl. I've dealt with some mares that are pretty challenging as far as their emotional lability goes. But she's not one of those. She's definitely a sweet little mare. Get bigger. Go light bigger. Better. That's pretty good for now. That gives me enough confidence that I can move her out of my space if I need to. Now she's a little fast on her pass through here. That's better. Now if a horse is really slow and I can't get him to speed up, or it's hard to get him to speed up, then I will work on speeding him up, work on getting him to trot through there. Back her up. But if she's really fast, move those shoulders first. If she's really fast, then I'm going to work on slowing her down. And that's just about right there. You can tell that she really is going the speed she thinks I want her to go. Which again shows her personality, shows her demeanor, that she really is an eager to please horse. Okay, I'm going to try a little side passing here. Good girl. So whenever she stops, when I ask her to stop, by stopping, asking her to go, I want her to stay perpendicular to the fence, like right there. If she shifts her hips away from me, I'm going to ask her to move her front feet over. right there. But then she shifted her hips, so I'm going to move her front feet over, right there. The more she faces me, the more my stick's going to come up closer to her ear. I won't tap her ear with it, but I'll get close to it. So right here, my stick is higher. Good, right there. So side passing along the fence potentially is not something she's real accustomed to. Back up. Try to get a step or two and then release that pressure, rub on her. There's a concept I like to teach, and that is you must have all the pieces to the puzzle in order to create the puzzle. And it sounds simple, but with horsemanship, it's basically they have to have the pieces of the groundwork so that I can get her trimming done. She doesn't have all those out. She doesn't have that foundation of the groundwork, then I won't have a lot of confidence that I can get the trimming done. Right there. Move her front end over. Front end over. About there. Now she might have been taught like the come pick me up exercise, where she'll move her hip over towards me. And probably that's the case. But my cue for her to side pass away from me is just tapping at the shoulder. Right there. Move the front end around and release right there. Move the front end around and release. Good girl. So I just keep working at it until she gets positioned correctly and release my pressure. But I'm going to go the other way now. So I don't want her to get to the point where she gets flustered and she stops trying to find the answer. So I'm going to go the other way and let her work on this side of her brain. So I'm tapping up here closer to the ear, on the neck. Light tapping. If I need to tap a little more, I will. Right there. I know. So she's not perfectly perpendicular, but she started to get perpendicular. That's why I released my pressure. Keep working at it. Right there. Ask again. See, I don't want her facing me when we're doing the side passing exercise. I want her facing the fence. So I'll keep asking that front end to move over. Right there, good. Then she shifts her hind end away, so I'm going to move over, and release. Good girl. Looking for a nice step. She did a good job of backing up. Now let's move that front end over. See, she repositioned herself around that mounting block. Get her to back up. Right there. Back up. Good girl. So she's getting kind of locked up with her back, and I just kept the pressure on until she started to move back, and then I released. Perfect. That was very good. But she didn't finish correctly. Move the front end over. Good girl. Ask her again. Now you have to be careful here. Sometimes horses will get flustered and they'll move their hips towards you and they might try to kick you. So you have to be careful about that. See, she's trying to look away and move her hips towards me, so I'm going to just try to keep her nose pointed towards me. Right there. Now she moved her hip away, so let's move her front end over. Good girl. Move the hip away. Move the front end over. Again, move the front end over. Good girl. Ask her again. Waiting for her to move that front end over relative to the back end. Right there. You can smell my tools. Farrier tools. Back her out of this corner. Good girl. Right there. That's what I was looking for. Ask her again. Right there. Ask her again. Good. Oh, there's some fluidity to her movement. Some smoothness. Ooh, that was good. Good. Now we're not going to get perfect here, but I just want to get it a little bit better. Start putting her on the right path for this side passing exercise. Beautiful. Okay, that was really good. Now let's go the other way one more time. It's a little too close to me here. Move over. Good. Now I don't like how she kept drifting around instead of yielding and stopping. So I'm going to do that again. Right there. Good. Good girl. Look how much better that is. Now she shifted her hips away, so I'm going to move those front end over. Good. Take her the other way. So I like that much better. She's actually a little bit nervous than my cameraman. Back her up. Keep working on that back. Good girl. You notice how she's starting to figure this out. It's a lot smoother. Good girl. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple other backing techniques. Now I did backing away from me earlier, and now I'm gonna do backing with me. So I just want her to back out of my space as I wiggle this lead rope and wave my stick underneath. Don't want her to be afraid of my stick. I want her to respond by backing up. Good. She's doing okay, but she keeps drifting her shoulders to her right, my left. Good girl. Now this would take a week or two of work to get her really, really refined, but she's doing really well. Give her a little break there. Just trying to establish leadership, connection, and control. Now this is what I call a tapping technique to back her up. So I'll tap the air, and then I'll start to tap the lead rope. When I tap the lead rope, it's similar to the jerking down motion. And I actually do pull down to straighten that rope as I tap the rope. Good girl. Now I'm going to use a marching technique. She doesn't move back. I'm going to start to tap her chest. Good girl. Pretty good. I never assume a horse can do any of the groundwork exercises that I use in the Luke Brown method. In my program, I want to take the horse through that groundwork despite what I've been told or how much work she's had. I want to just make sure that my connection with her matches, that my cues with her match up, so that when I'm asking her to move her feet in that necessary scenario when she might try to kick when I'm trimming her, I want to be able to have control of her feet.